It's your boy, Flavor Flav, and this is Criss Angel's Talking Junkies.
Hey, it's Criss Angel, and welcome to another episode of Talking Junkies. We are here with the Talking Junkies. I'm talking about two-time UFC heavyweight champion, Mr. Frank Mir.
Yeah. Frank Mir.
Light heavyweight champion of the UFC, Mr. Rampage Jackson.
Rampage.
And of course, none other than the hilarious Hammer.
Come on, guys. Seriously, this is how it's going to go?
This episode of Talking Junkies is insane because we have a guest that, well, they named the move after him. It's an insane, you all saw it. You know what I'm talking about. You know where I'm going with this, right? Like, it's incredible. He's a lightweight champion twice, UFC, WEC we're talking, and he just had his debut boxing match in the heavyweight division.
It's a legend, dude.
You're talking Roy Jones, and he beat him. Give it up for Mr. Anthony Showtime Pettis!
Yeah!
Showtime. What up, Showtime? What's up, brother? You're so much more fit than Rampage these days. Look at you. What?
Hey,
have a seat.
I'm just saying, don't make me...
Hey, just before the finish on that, so a lot of people at home know, like, that match with Roy Jones, that wasn't an exhibition. Like, when Roy fought Mike Tyson, that's an exhibition boxing match. They're not allowed to knock each other out. There's no rule.
Wow.
The fight he took with Roy Jones, that 8-rounder, that was a real professional boxing match where Jones was looking to knock him out.
Wow.
Facts, yeah.
Do you think Roy Jones was, like, underestimating you because you was an MMA fighter?
1,000,000%. And I was a lower weight class guy. So, like, I actually got that phone call. I was on a yacht in Cabo, Mexico on my birthday, bro. And my agent hits me up. He's like, hey, I got an opportunity for you, a boxing match. And I was already, like, trying to go into boxing after that PFL stunt. And he's like, it's against Roy Jones Jr. I'm like, the Roy Jones Jr.? Like, nah. I'm like, no way. I'm like, how much does this guy weigh? So he was weighing like 235.
235.
I was like 185. We had to figure out a place to meet at. So I bulked up to 200 pounds, and he got down to 200 pounds.
Did you have rocks in your pocket, man?
Bro, I had my chain on.
Let's start with some fire. Would you fight someone like Mike Tyson? Because Mike and Roy had an exhibition, to Frank's point. Would you ever consider that?
The fight before that, I was studying that fight to fight Roy Jones Jr. So that was his last fight. So I was watching him fight Mike Tyson. I'm like, bro, I'm about to fight a guy who Roy Jones already, you know, like, but the fact that those two were the last two that fought each other. My coach, Jorge Capetillo out here in Vegas, a Mexican guy, very smart when it came to the game plan. He was like, yo, we're not going to knock Roy Jones out. Let's outpoint him. Let's get our angles in and out. And, you know, it worked out to my favor.
It's absolutely incredible because you're a guy that, you know, in the UFC, you were what 145?
Everywhere, man. So I started my career at 155, and I won the belt there, WEC, UFC, and then I went down to 45 to fight Charles Oliveira. Shout out to Charles Oliveira, you know, one of the greatest, you know, right now.
I think he has the most submissions right now.
Most submissions. And I submitted him.
Wow. Yeah, that was the crazy part. Oliveira's he's decently well-rounded, but he's a submission fighter. You know, there's highlight reel after highlight reel. This guy, I think he actually has the record for most submissions out of any weight class in the UFC.
He does.
And he choked him out.
Got him with a guillotine, yeah. It was crazy. Oliveira, man, that dude, his striking is actually really good. Like, when I was fighting him, I was like expecting the round was coming. He hit me with like a body kick right up the center, and I was like, man, this guy got some kickboxing, you know? Like, so
yeah, if I remember correctly, I think you initiated the ground fight on him, didn't you?
Initially, I did. I initially took him down, and then he took me down and left his neck out.
That's right, because you took him down in the first round and kind of pounded him up a little bit.
We had a couple exchanges, actually. Yeah, I was surprised. I actually passed his guard. I'm like, man, I thought it was going to be way more dangerous, but I was like,
nah, jiu-jitsu MMA is different than MMA is.
You punch in the face, it's definitely different.
Well, you're insane because, like, I'm trying to get my black belt with my professor, Frank Mir, but you have, like, how many black belts?
Man, I got kickboxing. I started with Taekwondo. So Taekwondo black belt first, 3rd degree in Taekwondo. I still own Taekwondo gyms, still teach Taekwondo as well. Kickboxing from Duke Rufus Sport, kickboxing black belt. I got a jiu-jitsu black belt, and I also have a capoeira black belt.
That's incredible. Wow. Whoa.
Yeah.
That last one is like dancing,
That's
right?
because he started when he was in his mother's womb. Like, he was fighting to get out.
You know,
like, let
Criss,
me out.
he ditched your question, though. We asked if you'd fight Mike Tyson, and you just flew over that
I went
one.
around it.
I studied him, but...
Man, nah, I wouldn't fight Mike,
Mike's doing the show.
Mike's a big dude, man.
Mike's doing the show.
Mike's one of those dudes.
Maybe I got to have you and Mike on the same show.
Maybe. I mean, I probably want to get some redemption for his boy, too.
And I mean, you can ask any boxing coach in the world. That's one thing they say is the last thing a boxer ever loses is power. I mean, you might lose time, or, or reaction time.
reaction.
So you might get slower a little bit, but I mean, it's like you're talking milliseconds and power. Just, I mean, you guys got. I mean, I wouldn't want to be hit by George Foreman or Mike Tyson now.
Yeah, you remember George Foreman came back? He was old as hell and he was knocking out young folks.
You know, it's funny though, because he was old as hell to us at the time, right?
Yeah.
He was 43.
Yeah, he's young.
You ran into that one. I was like, oh, hold on a second, buddy.
He was only 43 when he came
43,
back.
I think we were.
Insane.
3. Did you see his story? George Foreman's story?
I did.
Watch that, bro.
It's awesome.
It's inspiring, man.
Inspiring.
That's what
When he came
Netflix,
back,
right?
Yeah, Netflix.
I saw a little bit of it. I wasn't really.
It's good, man.
It's
His
a
comeback
great
was
story.
Yeah, that
it's
dude
insane.
still could go ahead. I mean, you would not want to get hit by him. I mean, or Tyson either. And Tyson's still fast.
And
I don't think he's lost
lesson to us all. He made his most money off of that grill. Not fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, the grill, right?
Grill.
Yeah, the grill that I think Hulk Hogan passed up on, and that's his biggest
Right.
regret.
Yeah, and then they gave it to him.
You got anything that you working with like the grills? What's your grill? What are you working
Man, I
with?
started my first business when I was 15, actually, at Taekwondo gym. So, like, I in high school, I was teaching Taekwondo to, like, honestly, I was teaching Taekwondo to kids that their parents made way more than my mom and dad. Like, my dad would pass away, but my mom. So, like, I would have these kids, like, come up to me and treat me like, yes, sir, no, sir, and, like, so much respect. I think when I saw that, like, I clicked. I was like, yo, it doesn't matter where you're at. If I have a skill set, I could attach to that skill set and make some money from it. So I started with Taekwondo. I opened a barbershop. I got a sports bar, fight show now, and a management company.
Wow.
How old were you when you started MMA? You know,
MMA, I was actually the way I started MMA is because I owned my Taekwondo gym. It's like when UFC was popular.
but like, how old were you when you owned your gym?
15.
15.
15, yeah. So I was in
What?
high school, yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, my dad
But
died.
you
My
single
dad died.
parent, right? Your mom was, you had one parent in
But
the
when my
house.
dad died when I was 15, man,
Yeah.
he got killed in a house robbery.
So from there, it was just
no
your mom.
way.
Wow.
Yeah.
So sorry.
That's
I worked
horrible.
across the street from my house, man. It's like in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Like, you're going to high school, and I was a sophomore at the time. It was November 12th. And, I get a knock on the door, and, like, it's a Milwaukee detective. And, like, me and my brother's already, like, trained. Like, my dad was like, yo, cops come, you don't say anything. So he's, like, asking all these questions, like, who was your dad around? Like, who's his enemies type shit. And me and my older brother are sitting back, like, we don't know anything, like, chilling. And then at the end of it, he was like, we're investigating a homicide, and we think your dad was the victim. I was like, wait, what? Like,
Oh my
and he
God.
pulls out this Polaroid picture, and it's my dad, like, in the back of an ambulance with, like, gauze on his chest. I could just see his eyes. He had green eyes. His eyes were just wide open. And I'm like, man, my life, it was crazy at that time, man. Like, I didn't want to.
That had to change, change everything forever. But that was a life-changing experience. How did it change your life?
I lost both my parents, man. My mom, that was her only boyfriend ever. So, like, when he died, she just stopped working. She stopped doing everything. So at 15, I had to figure out how to pay rent. I had to figure out how to take care of my little brother. Like, I had an older brother.
So your mom passed too?
No. My
No,
mom,
she
my
must
mom
have
just
shut
shut
down.
down. She'd stopped working. Like, I didn't see my mom for a couple weeks. She stayed in her room. Like, that was the love of her life.
Oh,
So it was
boy.
like, when I lost my dad, my mom, like, shut down. So, like, that's how the business mind came in. Like, I knew I had to, like, take care of my family. I couldn't go get an $8 an hour job. At that time, it was like minimum wage was like $5.25 or something like that. So I used my skill set. I figured out how to open my first gym up.
How'd you get like a business license, dude?
What's that?
How did you get a business license to open up at 15?
My older brother.
Oh,
So my older brother is 5 years older than me, right? So I was 15, he was 21. He was in college. He had 1 year left. He was going to be a doctor. But when my dad died, he stopped too. So, like, my whole family just stopped, man. And, like, I'm in, like, a sophomore in high school trying to figure out, in sophomore, you're like, yo, I'm trying to go to homecoming and prom and, like, trying to figure out that kind of stuff. And that immediately took away from me. I had to figure out how to
Did you leave
pay rent.
school or you stayed
Yeah,
in
I stopped school for a year. But luckily, I went to a private school. Like, I got a scholarship playing basketball to go to a private school.
Really?
In high school?
In high school.
Oh, wow.
It was like a choice program. It was like
Yeah.
they would take kids
Wow.
from the city and they would bus them to, like, this private school. It was only like
Is this all
5
Milwaukee still?
Milwaukee, but I was going to school in Whitefish Bay.
Okay.
So it's like about 30 minutes away. So I would, like, go to school, play basketball. But, like, that school is the reason why I was able to graduate. Like, when my dad died, I took, like, probably, like, from November to June, I took off. Because, like, I was going through it, And then my principal at the time, his name was Joseph O'Keefe. Without him, bro, I would have never graduated high school.
Yeah.
But
It's amazing because out of all the fighters, I mean, I've been in the industry with, you're probably the most driven when it comes to business side of it. I've seen guys that are driven for money, but as far as driven for business, and it makes sense now to me, hearing that like when that day happened, you had to be very resource driven. Like, you're like, I got to provide for the family now. You basically had to step into your father's role.
I had to pay rent, man.
Like, wow,
I remember
that
the
just
rent-
explains a lot to me, you know what I mean? Like,
The
why
rent
you're
was
so driven.
$800 a month. And I was like, how the fuck am I going to afford $800 a month? And so he died in November. And then I think me and my older brother started paying rent in March. And we figured out how to make it make
Wow.
sense.
It blows my mind because, like, you've been training your whole life, and somebody cuts you off on the road, Frank wants to kill him.
We all want to kill them.
But
I'm the bad
something
guy on the
so
shoulder.
profound happens to your dad. But don't you want to seek revenge? Aren't you on a mission? Think of Cain, and what happened to his kid, so tragic, And I can understand, what I would feel like if something happened to my kid. I would take somebody, snatch them out of society, and let them live a very torturous life for a long time, because that pain and that hurt, it just doesn't go away. You try to get over it, but it's not a day that probably goes past that you don't think of your pop and what happened. Don't you feel like a sense of rage and revenge?
Well, did they find the guy? Did they?
I was saying two parts to that question.
Sorry,
they never found the guy. So it was an unsolved murder. And I remember right after he died, I got a job at Charlie's Grilled Subs, fucking making subs and shit. 'Cause I was trying to pay rent. I had to figure shit out. So I'm cooking subs. And I remember in my head, I'm bro, I'm probably serving the motherfucker that killed my pops. I was always going through my head. I see the line going through. And I'm y'all probably making this motherfucker sandwich. And I don't know, I had that hatred in my heart. But the fact that I don't have a face to hate, I feel like it allowed me to push the energy
to this day,
good stuff. No, unsolved murder.
And let me ask you, if I'm sure so many years you've been able to heal yourself and no?
Nah, that's, bro, every time I go to Milwaukee, my dad's grave's there. When I won the UFC belt, went directly to his gravesite. You can't heal from that,
Time ain't gonna fix that.
How about your brothers? Aren't they?
They took it a little different than me. I feel my older brother was a little older and he was in college, and he shut down too. My mom, he just really shut down. And my younger brother didn't really understand what's going on. Sergio, he's 9 years old at the time, so he's I remember when I told him, he didn't even cry because he didn't understand what was happening. Yeah, he was just
right.
He was 9 years old. I'm first grade or something. I forget what that is.
He didn't cry at the funeral or anything?
He did the funeral, but the first night he didn't understand. He just saw all my family come to my house.
He couldn't understand what was
Everybody's
going on,
crying,
except
and it was a crazy time in my life.
You know what?
Man.
My son is one that's fighting 2 and 3. His mom just got murdered not too long ago.
Oh,
and
man.
He's taking when your parent died that way, it just hits you different. If say they die slow of cancer or disease, you kind of prepare yourself a little bit. You know it's coming.
100%.
Or if it's a natural cause too, right? It's life. But for a person to do it,
it's because if somebody comes and robs your house or your car, you feel like you've been violated.
100%.
But this is the ultimate violation, taking somebody that you love.
It changes you.
I'm
That's the
sure.
ultimate theft.
Well, I think for Anthony, and I know you. People might not know this, but I know you since 2007, 8.
7 or 8,
before you were in the UFC.
I was just getting the W's.
Yeah, we used to hang out and go to clubs and be wild.
I was at the Moon nightclub, bro, and I was first time I could afford a bottle at a table. I was oh, I'm doing it big. And he was next to me, and I was that's Criss Angel. I was oh, shit. He was so cool, came over, shook my hand. I think we even exchanged numbers. I met his assistant, Tom.
Yeah, we hung out all the time.
Dope. He showed me real love, and I was man, that's a cool ass dude,
Yeah, and so I don't know. I think that you're such a driven, people don't know this, but you have a wonderful heart. You're loving. You're very generous. You're the complete opposite of what you would assume someone would be like if they lost their dad in that situation, that they would be mad at the world. And
I was.
Have you ever do you get into street fights?
Nah, I didn't. I grew up in Taekwondo, so Taekwondo is respect. I teach Taekwondo it's a vehicle to teach life skills. When I teach these kids these punches and stuff, we're really teaching about confidence, self-esteem, respect, things that actually integrity, things that actually are bigger than the martial art itself. So I feel when I learned that as a kid, I understood how to represent myself as a martial artist. I knew I was what I was capable of.
It's incredible, and when you won that, first belt,
yeah.
Did you feel a sense of euphoria? Did you feel all of the effort and energy that you put forth when no one is looking, when no one cares, in the gym and you're training and busting ass to fulfill a vision and a dream? What was that like to find? I know what it was for me, making it, but what was it like for you when that, you won, everybody's cheering you. You now have money, you have fame.
The money.
Huh?
No money back then. There was no money. I used to do my fighting was to make my gyms make money. So I know if I can get popular fighting, I'd get more students. Like I would make money from my gyms and like all that stuff. When I fought Ben Henderson, WC, last WC, I did the
With that
Showtime kick.
insane kick.
I made $10,000 and $10,000, and they gave me a bonus of $15,000. I made $35,000 for that fight, and then I got transferred into the UFC, and I was supposed to fight for that title as well, WC champ versus UFC champ. But Frankie Edgar and Gray Maynard fought to a draw, so I was like, "Fuck!" Like they're like, "Yeah, they're gonna have to do it again." So I was in a position where I was like, "Man, I'm supposed to be the man." Like,
How many views? Hey, Perry, can you pull up that clip?
I wish I would have known I could have owned that thing. Like
How many views is that?
Retarded. Yeah, it's insane, bro. Like the amount of views that kick got is crazy.
Like that probably was one of the most prolific moves, I would say, and Frank, correct me, or Rampage if I'm wrong, but visually stimulating eye candy that we have seen that really had tentacles out in the world that went beyond MMA, that people watched and was like, it just looked crazy. He ran up the freaking wall
Stephen
and
Bonner,
knocked
like a
this
ninja.
dude out.
Well, the cool part about it was I think it showed people too, everything works. Some things are high percentage and some things are low percentage. But like sometimes people get stuck in this mode where they're like, oh, that's not capable. I think that shrinks innovation. It makes people who are not creative. That kick to me, not only was it obviously very eye-catching and the average human being who doesn't know shit about fighting watches that like, fuck, that's entertaining. But then
Athletic,
for
right?
martial artists and fighters, we're looking, they're going, oh, I need to start opening up my mind of what's possible and what's applicable. Because if you would have said that before that fight, hey, you're going to run across the cage for a roundhouse and smash a high-level fighter, one of the best in the world, Ben Henderson, in the face, most people would laugh if they even saw you practice that. Like, dude, give that up. Relax. It's never going to work. Pulled it off. You know what I mean? Like, it just shows what you could do mentally. So on every aspect, that was very
Did you
influential.
feel when you did it, like, sometimes when you hit a shot or you just know, like, okay, that's going in the hoop. Like, did you just feel like you were anointed at that moment and it was like slow motion, or was it just like, I'm gonna try this and see what happens?
Man, I wish I could say like I'm gonna try it. Like it just happened, man. Like I remember he's a southpaw and I was a right-handed fighter. So like to land a backside high kick's pretty hard on the southpaw because there's a lot of room to go. I kept throwing that right side high kick and he was defending it very well. In my head, I'm like, dude, I gotta do something different. I gotta make the timing different. So I tried to do a 2-1 high kick and he blocked it again. I'm like, damn. So like now I gotta make something happen differently. And it's like my coach is like it was 2-2. Like I had round, he had round 1, I run round 2, he won round 3, I won round 4. So whoever won round 5 is about to win the belt, and I knew that. And I was like, couldn't land that high kick. I was defending takedowns good. I thought I won that round even without that kick. But then once Duke was like, hey, you gotta go, you gotta fucking go. I remember hearing that, and I was like, let's go, like just jump.
Had you ever drilled that move?
Yeah. So
okay.
It comes from like jumping off walls and breaking boards and like taekwondo demos.
Okay.
So I like jump off the wall,
that's
break
funny.
a board. That's what the concept came from.
Yeah, you drilled it. All right.
Did you ever get his response? Like, did he ever respond like, I didn't even know what you were doing? Like, because he probably was like, because we're conditioned in what we do and what we see, and he's in the octagon, right? And he's like fighting.
Yeah,
and
at
some
best,
dude
his
is
mind could
running.
have thought a punch was coming, maybe.
Like, did he even like? Did he ever respond to you like?
Nah, bro,
I would love to ask him.
I took his belt twice in WC and UFC, so I feel like he's like. I mean, we're actually good friends too. Like at this point, like I'm a martial
I
artist.
just met him.
Yeah, we just
and
saw
he
him
was
in
like
Arizona.
the nicest
Criss
guy,
is one of the
nicest guy in the
You
world.
would never think he was a
so
warrior.
talented as well, man.
Yeah.
But what makes it even really more impressive, honestly, when you did that, Benson was also known for, I think that he
taekwondo.
started the T
Taekwondo black
kicks and
belt.
calf kicks, and he did things.
Yeah, actually, that's right.
Is it
Before
taekwondo
guys
black
really
belt?
got
Yeah, I
calf
know
kicks
this
on the
shit,
market.
guys. I know this shit. I've been watching you guys while you guys been training.
Supposedly
He's pretty
funny.
face.
Yeah, I'm funny as shit. But the thing is, so it's to accomplish that against him was actually pretty impressive because
Definitely,
he's
bro.
very skilled.
Yeah,
He's
but
very-
speak to
big
your
ups to
point,
Ben
Chris,
Henderson.
there's no
Big
way
respect.
any like if I put myself in a position, if I saw him running up the cage at most, I think okay, a Superman punch is coming. I mean, you're gonna kick off the
Wonder
cage.
Boy, Wonder
You know,
Boy.
Yeah, like
Let's
the best.
take a
But
look
to
at this.
Punt, to step off and
Oh,
go
you got
around,
it?
Let's
there's
take
no
a look
way
at
you're
this
expecting that to come.
beautiful moment. Perry, play it. You don't need audio, just the visual. Oh, here we are. Here we are. Look at that.
That's crazy.
Look at that.
I thought he was knocked out at first one.
No,
I
he
hit
said
him with my
Holy
shin. I hit
shit.
him with my foot.
Look at that. Bam.
But look at the fall through on the
Wow.
kick. That had a lot of velocity on it, man.
Oh, yeah, you see his
bro.
head
If I
snap
hit him with my
back.
shin, it would
Oh,
have
it
been
would've
done.
been lights out.
Look at him like he's the boss.
If it wasn't
The
lights out, it would have been a
mouthpiece
broken jaw.
gone.
You know what I mean? Like that would have cracked bones.
Yeah. Korean Zombie and Yair.
Oh, I don't know what this is.
It's Yair Rodriguez.
This is gonna be that
That's
weird
another
elbow.
beautiful knockout too.
Is that what he does? The upper
What,
elbow?
did he do-
Backward elbow.
Yeah, the suitcase elbow. I call it.
Yeah.
He lifts
But
the
this
suitcase.
is the first round. It's gonna take forever. It's gonna take.
You
it's the fifth round.
get.
How do you
Thank you,
feel when you
Ponyo.
see?
There it is. That's what we want. That's all we want. We should just loop that all day.
How do you feel when you
That
see
is-
other fighters doing it? Like, it's another guy.
I love it, bro. Somebody in the we were just there with Chris. I took
flattering,
him over
right?
to the Contender Series, and this I think is what is Venezuela? No, I didn't forget what nationality he was, but he did two of them in one round.
And and Dana referred to it
Yeah,
and,
like
and
Showtime
called up on the
Pettis,
red phone
though.
and said, "Play." It was like 4 seconds left in that round,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Hey, do the
So
playback of
Showtime
that."
Pettis,
And then
yeah.
they went to a shot of
no one's,
Anthony.
no one's landed it yet, but they've
Yeah,
attempted
he didn't
it.
land it, but
he didn't
Anthony,
land it.
we would
Oh,
have
yeah.
given. How much would you have given a dude if he landed that kick? I would have given him 10 grand.
I told him I was give him my watch. I was trying to give him the
Your
watch.
watch?
Yeah, I was gonna give him the watch.
All right,
if he
I got to
landed.
start training. We got to start training that kick. A watch is more than 10 grand, especially his watch. Look at his watch.
Yeah, too many mirrors in
show,
the gym.
show off the
First one
watch.
out.
Was
Get a
that a
shot of
bust
that
down?
watch.
Oh, tomorrow.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Tom, get a shot of his watch.
I don't know which camera it is.
Yeah, there you go. Just hold
I'm
it
a
out
watch
for a
guy,
second.
man.
Be careful, guys.
It's-
This
Actually,
is
you know what?
Showtime.
Rampage was the first one that had nice shit in MMA, bro.
Yeah.
Before all MMA, like he was having watches, he had the chains on. He had, I remember one of our mutual sponsors, Stan Chen from Toyo
Oh
Tires.
yeah.
You hit him up after I did that kick, and you were like, "Yo, your boy's a superstar. Make sure he gets paid like one." And that changed my mindset. I was like, "All right, now when I go over here, I'm gonna make sure I'm getting like I gotta see the contracts. I gotta see what I'm signing. I gotta see how much money, how much is the other guy making. Like you put me on game, man. So I gotta
No problem, baby. No problem. Hey,
All right, so you were talking about vicious knockouts and what's more vicious than a knockout. I hear it's having a Mexican wife. I mean, I want you to tell me, is like your by the way, your wife is wonderful. We
Yeah,
just
she's
had
so
the
cool.
opportunity to all go to Mexico to an amazing trip and trained and worked on some business stuff together. But like, what's that like?
Man, so I grew up with a Mexican mom. So my mom's Mexican, my dad's Puerto Rican. So I'm half and half. And like I always told my mom, I was like, I would never date a Mexican chick. The bunch
Was
of
she
stuff.
pissed when you said that?
They had hairy backs. Like back then. Yeah, I was like, and arms, like hairy ass arms. I was like, ah. So I was like, I'll never date a Mexican chick. And until my wife, I've never dated a Mexican chick. First Mexican chick I dated.
Did you know she was Mexican when you met her?
Yeah, I did.
Really?
Yeah, she's so proud. Mexicans are proud as hell, bro.
Yeah.
Puerto Ricans are proud as hell. So
Yeah.
how many times a week do you be waxing your wife's back?
No, she all her on her own, bro. It's like when I saw it, I was like, "You're Mexican? What?" Nah, I think I'm blessed to have my wife, man. Like
She's awesome. You're lucky.
The way Mexicans treat their husbands and their kids and the household, like I'm blessed to have it. Something grateful to have.
That's good, man. That's good. I gotta
So-
try me one.
Yeah. You
Get me.
I like it. You guys like it.
you like variety.
You got some
You like
friends.
variety.
Just
It's
a friend.
spice of life for
Put me
you.
on. I like variety. Everybody think I only like Asian women. I'm like, what the hell?
You should try.
only
You went on a
Passport
date
Bro.
last night, didn't you?
Passport Bro.
Did you go on a date last night?
I went on a date last night.
A white girl, a black girl,
A white girl.
It's brown girl,
Huh?
white girl.
Was
Yeah.
it like
Really?
a Tinder date or what?
No, it wasn't no Tinder date. Hey, actually, it wasn't no date. I was somebody that she's one of my financial advisors.
Oh,
business.
really?
Yeah, it's business.
So you wrote it off.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, it's the write-off.
Tax write-off.
Did you put it in her bank?
It's a tax write-off.
No, we just had a nice steak dinner and good conversation. But she just so happened to be real beautiful. She used to play basketball in college and high school. She's tall. She's like almost 6 feet, and I
Wow.
love that.
Yeah.
Very beautiful. Yeah.
And you brought your boxing coach to your dinner with her.
Yeah,
So he was
so you know, how you gonna bring
you
up
were
your
the
coach on a
third
date?
wheel, dude. I heard he was hitting on her.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bobby got that game.
Bobby got
with
game
that
for
accent.
days.
With that accent.
Man, I tell you what, Bobby got game for days. Last time Bobby was hitting on a girl, he was drinking like a soda, and he got the ice cube out with his tongue. He got game. He got the old man game like that. He know what's up.
From England with that accent.
That's funny.
So Anthony, what do you think for people that are watching this that are inspired to live a dream? Because you have really demonstrated how to get through adversity.
Yeah.
You know, the trials and tribulations. You are a testament to persevering. What advice would you give to somebody watching this right now that has a dream but doesn't know exactly how to, or it feels discouraged? How do they get that?
They got to break out the cycle. I think once I got out of a two-part question, but like I feel like we are who what was passed down to us. My mom passed down her beliefs, what was passed down to her. Then once my dad died, it made me question everything. My mom's beliefs, my school's beliefs, religion, I questioned everything. I feel like I got to the truth of myself. I'm like, this is how I want to live. This is who I want to be. And luckily for me, I'm an ambitious ass dude, bro. Like I like building stuff. I like breaking barriers. And I think that's what I don't have an outside source. Like if I want to start a business, I don't go ask somebody like, should I start a business? I figure it out, make it happen, and then the rest happens around it. Not it's like always the right thing, but I feel like if you have these voices in your head that like your mom, your dad, your siblings, those are the first people that will make you feel negative than a stranger. You know, a stranger will support you before anybody else. So I think I was forced in that position where I had to realize that really young, and I realized that I'm still trying to perfect it. Like even when I speak to you, man, the way you speak and the way you talk, like there's some power in that, and I see how that I got to grow to that. You know,
I heard you got like a successful MMA league now.
I do, man. APFC, yes, APFC number 9. So we're going to Manchester. I'm the first show to go over to Manchester from the U.S. October 20th, we're going to do a Puerto Rico tryouts. November 11th.
You're gonna be in Puerto Rico?
Puerto Rico, yeah. So I'm going to November 11th. I'm partnering with Miguel Cotto, the boxer out there.
Yeah.
So there's boxing night Friday night, Saturday morning. We're doing tryouts for APFC. We're gonna go APFC next year in Puerto Rico, and then we're closing off the year November 19th in Milwaukee. So
Did you say Cotto?
Miguel Cotto, yeah. So Miguel Cotto has his own promotion out in Puerto Rico.
That's awesome. I'm a huge fan of that.
Yeah, me too, bro. Yeah. I wanted to be a boxer before I did MMA. My mom wouldn't let me box. She was like, I want you to mess your face up. Yeah. So she was, you can do taekwondo because it was point sparring. But she wouldn't let me box.
So back when Miguel fought Margarita,
first time.
The first time I was there because we were both sponsored by it was the Eric. What was the clothing with the rhinos?
Echo.
Thank you.
Damn. So I wanted that sponsor so bad.
Now I was sitting there. His wife and kids were there watching. My wife and kids always come to my fights, right? How my daughters and sons corner me now, right? And so I was sitting like, oh, that's cool. We're the same. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I like that. I like that. Like, you know, you see things, you're like, oh, I like this dude.
Yeah.
Well, that was the fight that Margarita had his gloves loaded, right? He put
Busted
that fucking powder in and
Oh,
shit.
yeah.
Busted
I remember
his
sitting there watching the fight. I thought, oh, no, there's no way, man. This guy's going to kill him, you know? And I'm watching this really thin, long Mexican guy. Just every time he landed a shot, it looks like he's just killing. I'm like, his face is getting torn. I'm like, wow, I've never... How hard does this dude hit?
What did he pick his glove with? What?
They put powder like almost like a plaster of Paris.
But it would be
Right, so you
like
put it
hard
on the
yeah.
cloth.
Okay.
So when you first look at it, when it's dry, if someone's not paying attention, they don't notice the shit.
Yeah.
As soon as your hands get wet and sweady, shit
Forms
turns
like
into a fucking
concrete.
cast.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, he didn't get caught. He got caught when he was getting ready to fight Shane Mosley. Mosley's cornerman, Nassim Richards, found it. He was watching. He goes, hey, wait, fucking. So they made him take his wraps off. They said they like hit the fucking table like
wow.
Boom. He's like, nothing. And then when he fought Mosley, just murdered him. And I was like, oh man. So when Cotto got to fight him back and tore his ass
that
up.
was a sad fight for Cotto.
But I mean, that sucked to watch because I remember sitting there, you know, you could relate. I'm like sitting there watching, I'm like, wow. And then I'm like, oh fuck. I'm like looking over, his fucking kids are like putting their face in his fucking wife's. At the time, I was like, well, that's just what happens. But then when I found out the gloves were loaded, I was like, you know, I don't know what I would do afterwards if I found that out.
Right?
You know what I mean? Like, we might have a problem. You know what I mean? That's not going to be settled in the boxing ring.
You try to hurt him, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's a different level of like, I look getting for an edge, but like.
That's been a coward, though.
You can fucking kill somebody, man.
Like,
been
you
a
can throw a
coward.
punch and your wrist don't bend.
I mean, a taped hand already is unreal. He taped his hand. Like, maybe the next time we'll have one of the trainers, like, a real boxing guy tape your hand like a boxing thing.
Yeah, and it's a
you'll
cast,
see, like, bro, if you walked out into the street and hit somebody with that with no glove on it, you'll kill him. Like, I mean, like, you're breaking, like, you could. Mike Tyson thinks it at one time. He was taping his hands. He punched the wall. His hand went through the wall because he was pissed about how his hand wrapped or something. Like, if your hands are wrapped like that, they're deadly weapons.
Yeah, if I was going to get into a street fight, I would want my hands wrapped.
Yeah.
If you got into a street fight, I would assume you wouldn't use your hands, right?
I mean, I wouldn't even try to kick either, honestly. Like,
Really?
Yeah, street fighting's more for me. It's close quarters, elbows, knees. I would more
tie close the hell out of somebody.
It's just, I mean, if someone throws a punch and I go into this, they have a good chance of catching me. Like, no matter what technique they have, like, but if you go straight forward to somebody, most people don't know how to handle somebody in front of their face like that.
You wouldn't take him down?
Oh yeah. I mean, if it's one person, yeah. If it's more than one person, no, I'm not. Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's one person, I'll take them down and subdue them, and I won't even have to hurt them. I'll just put them in a position where I'm like, all right, chill out, bro. Right. If it's more than one person, do not go into the ground.
You don't want to go to the ground.
Well, you
can
go to
kick
the
by their
ground. You just
friends.
got to make sure.
You just got to make sure it's one person.
Yeah,
you got some boys with you. If you got some boys with you, you're good.
Yeah, I think like people can stump you and kick you on the ground doing jiu-jitsu.
If I take someone down, they're only be there about 2 seconds.
Hey, Frank's taking on my knee or something.
Yeah, it's Frank.
Yeah,
Me, if I take somebody down,
There's no ground and pound in a street fight.
You're a wrestler.
I know, but I don't want to be. I've done that before in street fights. I picked somebody up and slammed them. So I was sprawling. Yeah, I fucked them up. But somebody kicked me in the nuts from the back. Yeah.
So what about for your children and stuff? Like if I came to go, hey, I want my 5-year-old to start martial arts. What's usually your?
I teach Taekwondo, so I gotta say Taekwondo because it's the base of like not fighting. It teaches the respect, the discipline, and like you eat yourself out of.
You
a
build
fight
character in that one.
But if it comes down to it, jiu-jitsu is the most practical. Yeah. You go to you have jiu-jitsu. I mean, I don't care if it's a 9-year-old girl, if she knows technique and against a man, like it works practical. But yeah, I think Taekwondo is like one of those martial arts, like it's point sparring, tag, move, get in and out.
Do you teach your daughter?
I do, yes.
So
my older daughter. Yes.
Yeah. So what is she?
She's a brown belt right now in Taekwondo.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
That's awesome.
My older brother has 2 daughters too, and she's actually like Miss Wisconsin, and her whole thing is Taekwondo. So she'll go out there and do her little Taekwondo thing. She's a beautiful little girl too, but she's
that's
Miss
awesome.
Wisconsin, yep.
And what do you? Because your brother obviously is the Bellator champ right now, Sergio.
Yeah,
great
man.
guy. I remember meeting him when you guys came to my show. Like I don't even know how many years. That must have been more than 10 years ago.
I was probably like 20 years old. He was like 16.
Yeah, and now he's like doing amazing.
The man.
And a beast, right?
Yeah, I mean he's always been a beast, but I think he had to live in my shadow for so long because I did it really quick. So I was like, I really wanted to. I saw what I was bringing him up to like put him in a position to make money. Like I wanted him to make cash. Like he got to that spot, but I was overshadowing him in the UFC. So I was like, all right, man. Like when his contract ended up, I'm like, if you go to a different league, like you will be the Pettis in that league. So that was kind of like the reason why we went over to Bellator. Obviously the money too. Like Bellator looked out for Sergio big time.
Well, you're also 2 completely different fighters.
2 completely different
He
fighters.
is methodical. He stays on game plan. You're basically Showtime. Like if you want to give a show, you want it to be eye candy. You want to do the Showtime kick. He's more like we're going to win. We want to win.
Frank told me a quote, and he was like, "The Americans fight to win, and not everybody else. Like the guys, I would say Cubans, Russians, that have a real system behind it. They fight not to lose.
Right.
So like I got in that concept of like, yo, I'm Showtime. I got to do some crazy shit, and it puts me in a bad position where I'll end up in my back or like I'll make a mistake where he's not like that. He'll win the fire first, and then once he wins the fire, the guy steps out, spin kick. And I'm like, damn, I see what he's doing, but it's just
right. He's methodical.
The other thing too about honestly that you open your mind to, it's because you're a traditional martial artist. Think about it. Traditional martial arts, it's about a 15 to 20 second altercation. You do self-defense. Karate's like, okay, I'm gonna defend, engage, and take you out. Mm-hmm. There is no, all right, I'm gonna knee tap, you get on top, cross-side, hold, and catch my breath, look at the referee, establish position. You know what I mean? Like,
you're talking about Brock Lesnar right now.
That's not a real fight. You know what I mean? Like, and MMA is very much oriented. It's something that gets too sportive. It is. I mean, like I tell people, it's. It definitely is favors striking more because it's like, hey, if you're on the bottom and you're stalling, we're going to reward you. Just get up neutral. I tell people, that'd be like if we were dancing around. Okay, we'll go lay down and get on top of them. Like, why? Because you weren't striking enough. You know what I mean? Like that would shows how much diversity of the differences. But that's what's my problem too. Same thing. If you see guys that come from a background of traditional martial arts, we try too hard to finish the fight. And go for finishes. Yeah, and it's not. That's why guys with a wrestling background, not only is wrestling a phenomenal base, but they know how to eke out close matches. Yeah. Because it's like, oh, I got to do this for 6-7 minutes, right? They know how to eke out, and there's a sportive mindset that we don't really have in street fighting that we have to make that adjustment when we fight in the cage.
Makes sense.
And it's hard. So you have a finishing mindset. You're not going to outpoint someone in the cage.
Anthony's kicks are insane.
Unreal. Yeah, I told him that.
It's control.
I've never seen anybody. I've seen guys that can do the Taekwondo version of kicks, kicking more like a hinged movement, kicking more with the thigh snapping motions. I call them karate kick style. I'm a cheetah, Superboy, Wonder Boy. But as far as, and then the Thai kick is more with hips, momentum, stepping off angle. You have the heavy kicks of Thai boxing. I've never seen anybody can do both at the level that he can do them at. I've seen guys do the one level as good as him, but they can't do the other. And then vice versa. I've seen guys that can Thai kick pretty good, phenomenally, but their Taekwondo or speed kicks aren't there. His ability to do both is unreal. Blew my mind. Watching it live, I was sitting there going, wow.
What about, and I don't want to fight you, but what about Anderson Silva? I mean, he's got kicks.
Anderson Silva's Thai kicks are not great.
Oh, because they're basically tied.
Yeah, no,
He's
they're
fast,
not
though.
phenomenal. Quick,
Yeah, he's
his
fast.
teep, snap kick, wheel kick type. If you watch how he throws his
Yeah.
kick, he uses speed, right?
Yeah.
So like he aims the knee, snaps. It's more of a multiple movement of the joint, right? Where if you see most Thai guys, their leg doesn't even move, their quad doesn't even
Yeah.
flex. It's all swinging of the body. The legs actually relaxed. The most they flex is their toes.
It's like a
They
whip.
bring up. Yeah, and they whip it in, and then their shin is what crashes into you. It's the weight of their leg.
Yeah.
There is no, you could actually Thai kick forever, and not be tired because you're just swinging
if
your
you do
body.
it
Right. Karate kicks are fatiguing. You know, it takes speed, it's musculature, right?
Be flexible.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of being in Mexico, like what was that, last week or something, and Anthony was out there with Frank, and we went to the gym, and I did his kick workout, and it's nuts. Like the control he has, like he could just take his leg and do like the craziest thing.
No warm up. That's what shocked me. We
Yeah,
did it
no,
yesterday.
yeah.
When Quinton
That
came over to
warm-up was
box,
crazy.
I
They
was like,
did
hey, man,
this-
I'm trying to put you on the spot. Come here and throw fucking spin hook kick, spin back kick, spin side kick. I'm like,
with power.
power, speed, precision,
Yes.
and then
Coming
he
down.
never loses balance. It blows my mind. I've never seen anybody throw that speed and power. And usually afterwards, there's a, you know, they're like a cat. They got to regain their balance. This motherfucker never loses it.
Yeah, he's back to one. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, man.
But have you ever seen a magician kick like Chris?
Not yet. No.
Nah, yeah.
He's good.
Yeah, no. Chris
doesn't
kicks
talk
actually,
about it, but
that's why I'm glad that he comes
He's
over.
better
'cause-
with his feet than his hands. Chris.
Hold on, you got to see him now. Give me time now.
Oh, is he better?
You think Chris can beat up David Copperfield?
Absolutely.
Hey, easy.
Chris is actually extremely physically talented.
Yeah,
Actually,
man.
like, there's times where, like, I've had to throw out the age. You know, because I come in there, and, you know, as a coach, you want there, you got to look at what your athlete has, okay, their strengths, weaknesses, and what I'm going to try to tailor things towards to make it more accessible and more attainable. And there's a lot of stuff that I would never have done with a normal guy at 55 years of age. I'd be like, no, dude, you're not going to be able to walk tomorrow. This guy does it. You know what I mean? Like, in fact, Cage wrestles with him. And it was actually a good lesson for me to teach my son. You know, Cage sees, you know, Cage is respectful. He's, you know,
He's a state champion.
multiple times. He's won state every year in high school, right?
Wow.
State champion at 195. You see, he's, you know, he walks around 210. Cage cooks his own food because he doesn't feel like, you know, like he's that meticulous about his diet, his eating.
What
He's
does he squat? Or bench?
535, I think is his
way.
last one.
18 years old.
Champ, for sure.
Yeah,
He just turned 18 today.
Yeah, today's his birthday.
Yeah.
And that whole
Happy
family over there is talented, bro.
So,
That's-
so I had the opportunity.
Yeah, he was wrestling with Cage. I was like, hey, Cage, help me out. Because on Sundays, I try to bring the boys over so we could all do like a family martial arts day, you know, teach, you know, Johnny and Ronan can all work together. We can train. So I was like, oh, you know, Chris was just at this point too. We were just starting to work more of the ground. Chris has an affinity for the stand-up. And so obviously we went there first more. But then it was about 3 months ago, I was like, hey, man, we need to, you know, if you want to be a well-rounded mixed martial artist, we got to work the ground a little bit more too. And so Cage was there that day, and they were just wrestling around and stuff. You know, and Cage got in trouble a couple times where he was like, he kind of opened up his eyes, and you know, he was able to recover. But I sat there and I looked, and he goes, and he came over to me afterwards. He goes, Dad, like I didn't even think like I was taking it so easy at first because I didn't realize. I'm like, it's okay. That's never underestimate
You
anybody.
mean with Chris?
With Chris.
So
It
Cage is
shocked me.
Frank's son, for those people
Yeah.
listening.
So
that
Chris,
don't
you
know.
wrestling in high school or
18-year-old
something?
son.
No.
Oh, you just been teaching him wrestling or
Oh,
something?
everything. Well, yeah, I teach MMA. So it's like,
yeah.
But was he doing jujitsu, Chris?
no, I was doing
I-
wrestling. Well,
Oh, okay.
so-
I was doing
it's
whatever I
hard
had
because
to
the way
do
my
against
brain
an
works,
18-year-old
we
guy
don't
that
do
bench.
jujitsu, we're not doing MMA, we're not doing boxing. I mean, like, okay, that's a jab.
We just do
you
an
want to call
MMA.
it boxing or whatever, but now it's a double leg takedown. What is that? I
So
don't know.
you're down to grappling.
Yeah,
I
like,
got
we
you.
hit-
right.
if
You
hit
teaching
your
him
hip-
MMA.
Yeah, I'm teaching MMA.
Yeah.
That's what that's what it should be anyways. It shouldn't be jiu-jitsu,
Different.
wrestling,
Right,
boxing.
right.
Like I hate that. I mean, for competition, it's fine. Like I have all my kids competitively go into wrestling. I like that because of how it's hard and because it's harder to get finishes. So they grind. They have to learn how to deal with the grind because they're all explosive like me. And I didn't. And jiu-jitsu made me mentally weak at first because you know, hell, I think my first 50 competitions, no one made it past 2 minutes with me. I was like, I mean, I was a purple belt, armbar Jeff Munson. You know what I mean? Like, so because there was such quick finishes, and then my MMA career started going that way too. It makes you soft. You know what I mean? And then. But that's why wrestling makes people so hard because it's not easy to get a pin all the time. You know, sometimes you could really dominate a guy in a wrestling match and it's 3-2. You know, like, wow, that was a dominating match. Like, yeah, one
Anthony,
point.
Yeah, well,
Do
no one could
wrestling
go
make
to.
you
Go
hard?
ahead.
Bro, I never wrestled. I wish
You
my
never
high school.
wrestled?
I wish my high school had a wrestling program. I went to that private high school.
Because you
Yeah,
quit. You left. You quit.
We played basketball, so you
They
couldn't
didn't
wrestle.
have a program.
They
My
didn't
little
have it
bro
at
got to
all?
wrestle. They had no program.
In Wisconsin?
Well, just at school.
Oh,
My little
okay.
brother wrestled in high school, but I went to a private school. Out
they didn't have
They had no wrestling.
Oh, gotcha,
yeah.
gotcha.
You would be
Played
good at it,
basketball.
though. I mean, not that you aren't good at it. You have takedowns. It's just, I feel that sometimes we do that. We limit ourselves. It's like, oh, I'm a wrestler. I'm a jiu-jitsu guy. It's like,
yeah.
hold on a second. You know what I mean? Like, a move's a move. A technique's a technique, man. Like, and like, because what was the first time I think you came over to Chris's? Chris like, hey, I see you two guys just tie clinch and move around because I was trying to work the clinch with Chris. And I was like, yeah. Fucking clinch was spot on. There was never one time that I was able to, and I was trying to first of all, let me see if I can move his elbows and get him off weight and move him around. He kept the triangle perfectly against the guy who's 100 pounds bigger than him, you know?
Yeah.
Appreciate that, bro.
What would you say like to somebody like Logan or Jake Paul that wanted to box you or do an MMA?
Please, man. I've been staying out of that just because I'm like I can box, bro. Like I've sparred Caleb Plant. I sparred good guys.
Really? You
boxing.
sparred Caleb Plant?
Caleb Plant for before
Wow.
his last fight.
Yeah.
I did.
That's
Shout out to
legitimate,
Caleb
dude.
Plant. He actually comes from a traditional taekwondo, karate background.
I didn't know that.
His dad's a karate black belt. Yes,
No
he's
shit.
kicking everything. But,
Wow, that's like
so
Lomachenko.
I was sparring him, and then he like pretended to do a Showtime kick. Like,
No
oh, yeah,
shit.
hold on. I was like, hey, how you know that? But that was
That's
it.
like Lomachenko. I didn't know that Lomachenko was a black belt
I
in
spar real
Sambo.
guys that box, bro. Like my coach tests me all the time. Like I got a Mexican coach. He's like, yo, you got to get in there with him. If you want to be a boxer and you want to be in my gym, like you do everything that everybody else does. If I miss practice, he's calling my cell phone.
Really?
Yeah, if I miss running in the morning,
So, there was this rumor that the Paul brothers were gonna have a match, right? They were gonna fight each other. Like your brother Sergio.
yeah.
Would that ever be something on the table? Like, would he ever, for competition purposes, ever do either a boxing or an MMA match, or because you're brothers, you would never cross that line? Like,
Yeah.
because I'm curious if the Paul brothers would ever do that. Or is that just hype?
I mean, I don't know about them. Like we come from traditional martial arts, so it's like real respectful driven. Like, and then when I lost my dad, like I looked at Sergio not like as my little brother. Like I was like, yo, I'm his fatherly figure.
Right.
And I always tell him I would never replace my dad's position, but I want him to look at me like, yo, if you need something, I'm here.
That's
Anything,
awesome.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
So yeah, I wouldn't fight him for money, but we spar every day for free, and that's we go hard.
And
you know?
and I mean, I know it's hard for you because you're coming from one perspective, but it's your brother.
Yeah.
How does he do or you do against each other? Who would win?
I'm gonna win. No one's gonna beat me versus anybody. I'm gonna win. You know, if you say you're gonna lose, then you retire from fighting.
Right.
But he's the only guy to ever rock me. Like
Really?
he gave me a concussion. Yeah, a real concussion. So it was right before I went to fight Diego Ferreira, a guy at 155 here. We were doing boxing sparring. So in our gym, we do the first round's like hard boxing sparring, and then we finish with MMA. It's me and Serge. And
So he boxes too then?
we both box. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've been boxing. Yeah, but he's good too. He's really good. He's probably just as good as me at boxing. So like we were boxing, and I remember I walked into him, and I was hitting him with the right hand. And I hit him with the right hand, and he took a knee. Like I clipped him. I'm like, oh shit. And I was about to fight that like the next week. So I was like, oh, I'm on my shit, right? So I'm walking him down. All of a sudden I walk into a jab. Dink. Got stunned. Like first time I've ever felt like that, where my brain was
Really?
like, yeah, my brain wasn't okay. It was the scariest shit in my
You were
life.
out or
No, I didn't go out. Like it was
You got
enough for me to
rocked.
like, gee,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's concussion.
I heard the noise, but I knew I was concussed because after the next, we sparred. I finished the round. The next workout was strength and conditioning, and my coach had me doing broad jumps. And every time I jumped, the whole room was just like shaky. Yeah. So I was like, man, something's not right. I go home, couldn't even look at my cell phone. Like if you look at your phone, your brain, it just feels like you're in a dream. And then like I was emotional as hell. Like I was starting to crying. Like I don't cry.
Really?
I barely cry. Like, and there was what movie was it? The one with Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga and
are you talking
Bradley
about
Bradley Cooper, bro.
Yeah.
That shit got me. I'm like, I'm flying to Vegas to go fight this dude, and I'm watching that movie. And I'm just like, it was the only one on Southwest at the time, and I'm flying Southwest.
Star is Born, right?
Star is Born, bro.
Yeah.
I cried the two.
Born.
I wasn't concussed, so.
Did you cry at that movie too?
I cry movies all the time, dude.
Oh, damn.
I was balling
I'm
on
a
that
sensitive
motherfucker.
guy.
I'm just like on the plane, like I'm like, oh, something's not right, you know. So I get to. I thought it was the weight cut the whole time. I'm like, yeah, I'm cutting weight. I'm probably like emotional.
that makes
I
sense,
don't
yeah.
know. So I cut the weight, and then after the fight, I realized like something's not right, man. Like I don't feel right. I went to the Mayo Clinic. They tested me for concussions. I had a concussion, man. I was
And they
like,
still let you fight though?
they didn't give a fuck. Yeah, they didn't give a fuck.
Wow. Hey, I got a question though.
Go ahead.
You brought up about him and like the Paul brothers fighting each other. Will you and your brother, will y'all be willing to fight the Paul brothers?
That's what I was just gonna say,
yeah.
because that's a big thing in Russia.
Is it?
Right? Well, don't they have like multiple fighters in the ring?
No, I'm talking about
No, I'm talking about 4-on-4.
You talking about 4-on-4?
That would be the craziest shit
That'd be
ever,
great.
right?
Yeah.
in this corner.
Yeah, no, I'm
We
talking
got
about
the Pettises. In this corner, we got the Pauls.
No, I'm talking about co-main event and main event.
Oh, no, I think if they all
That would
fought at
actually
the
be a huge
same
deal, yeah.
time.
That'd be dope.
That would be crazy. Don't they do that in Russia? Like,
Yeah, they do
have
that
like
in Russia,
3-on-3 or.
Poland does it too, I think.
They do everything in Russia. That shit's
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh, it's
You ever seen the
like
press
just in
conference?
stare. Yeah.
The
People
guy
get
steps
knocked
back.
out.
Yeah, flying knee in the
You
press
know
conference.
that's coming. Why are you sitting there with your hands down?
No, but then they get back up again and get knocked out again. You ever see
But
that?
it makes
they just
no
get
sense.
So, it's
why?
so chaotic.
Why? If you know that the
You might get
theme
knocked out.
that you're gonna get knocked, and you're just sitting there and just like you have your
Yeah.
hands down. Like if you're there, like you got to keep your hands up, right?
Yeah, unless there's a punishment. I don't know why. Like,
No, if you
if
get
I took a
rocked.
fight and they said, and I've watched that's what promotion likes to do. Okay, they're going to put us together, and someone's probably going to swing. I'm just going to go first because obviously there's. I mean, like, fuck, man. Like, unless there's a penalty behind it, like you're like, I'm not going to stand here and wait for you to throw a punch at me. You know
Is
what I
he
mean?
talking about after they get hit? Because I didn't see what you're talking about, but is it like you get rocked? You know, sometimes you get rocked in your mind, you just don't work. Remember when I fought Vanderlei? When he kneed me in the face
Yeah.
like 15 times,
Yeah,
I
the
couldn't do
ropes.
nothing but smile. It's like I knew I got
no. This is before.
Yeah, so they're doing like a press conference
Before
weigh-in.
the fight.
And they fucking always put the guys right there. And the guys are doing this. And then it's always like, I mean, I've seen guys, 3 people. Bah, 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 bah. Like, what the
Oh
fuck?
yeah, I've seen.
And some
So they
and they're-
promote it, you know?
And Frank, they're like in their suits.
Yeah.
Like they're like
That's what
dressed
it's
up.
like
They're
the
just
Wednesday
doing
press
the
conference.
press
Oh,
conference
that's
the day
wild.
before.
Weigh-ins, yeah, way before. And then,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't even know if it's the weigh-in sometimes because they're fully dressed, like you said, like
Yeah,
in
no,
suits. So I
that's
think
the
it's like
way
a press
before the
conference.
weigh-ins, yeah.
And then you have the guys breaking it up afterwards that have the masks on and
First he moves
they-
out to let it happen.
Yeah, they let it happen, then they come in. And it's
That's why I'm like, all right, you're promoting this. Why would you wait to go? You know what I mean? Like I know what this is going to be. You know what I mean?
Someone's gonna get.
Like, I don't
You
know.
know, a lot of different countries they don't have an athletic commission. Like Japan don't
Yup.
have one.
Oh, I know.
Manchester. I got to
Yeah.
bring in my athletic commission.
You said what?
Manchester. I have to bring in the athletic commission.
They have
said
one
that?
there though. They do have athletic commissions, but they're like private sector type things. You know what I mean? Because like when we had to do that with the ACB before they became the ACA that I worked for.
It's very
Actually-
gray. It's
actually,
very
I know the
gray.
athletic commission
It's
there
a
for,
boxing
England.
athletic commission, but they don't do MMA. So like to bring
Oh,
to do an
the-
MMA and get a real MMA card. you gotta
We'll
bring in
talk
the
afterwards.
commission.
I know one.
Most
If it
definitely.
saves you money, maybe. I mean, we'll talk about because
Yeah.
I know the head of the athletic commission there.
what's up, Hammer? You hungry?
Oh,
you
I'm
want
starving.
you want some Wheaties?
I'll take Wheaties. You got Wheaties?
I got some Wheaties. I got a lifetime supply of Wheaties.
I was gonna say how good.
You know, he was on the cover.
He was
On
on
the
the cover.
box.
He was on the
Oh,
cover. of the
that's
That's why I
right.
brought that. That was
man.
like that's called a segue.
I
It's
was
a segue.
I zoned out. I was thinking about our
Yeah, you
athletic
were like
commission.
thinking
How
about
good
your
could they
show.
be when they could let Bisbing fight with one eye? How did he fight with one eye? And they did
Nevada
pass
lets that happen. If Nevada lets it happen, every commission. will.
Well,
How does that
Fighters
pass,
hide
though?
shit, dude. It's not the commission allowing it.
Yeah.
Like if you, that's the other thing I always.
How'd
tell
they
people.
not know,
If you
though?
say something, you know, hey, are you okay? Like I never understood why fighters be like, yeah, man, 2 weeks ago I got knocked out in practice. So like, did you not want to fight? Like,
Dummy,
why would
right?
you tell them
Yeah.
that?
But how you,
happens a
but how you
lot.
pass the
Happens a
eye
lot.
exam?
What's that?
Yeah, how do you pass
Guys
the eye
think on
thing?
themselves?
The people just memorize the board.
Yeah. But how would he pass the eye
Memorize
exam?
the board.
Because you got it. But you got to cover up.
Memorize the board.
They change it sometimes.
That's
too.
great.
Oh, I just go
Bro,
there. Well,
Before
no.
I got money, I was minus 20 over minus 200. That's a legal limit you could fight.
Oh, no
so I had my
shit.
contacts in. So every time I fought, even until the UFC, I had contacts in. So the first like grappling exchange, I had one eye be blind. I'm like, oh shit, now I gotta fight like peripheral vision here. Like it would like, cause I can only see like close stuff. I can't see far
Really?
stuff.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so my first part of my career, I fought with contacts in. Sergio too. We both had badass eyes, and then
Yeah, technically you're not
PRK.
supposed to, right? Like,
Yeah.
You're not supposed to say it. I didn't say it, obviously.
Yeah,
Like,
obviously,
I was in the,
Well,
I
he
was in the
made
test, like,
he made all this money
Now
from
he-
the Wheaties so he can afford to
Yeah.
have the surgery. Tell us about the Wheaties things. This is a
Wheaties,
great
man,
story.
Yeah. Oh, it was obviously I was on the Wheaties box. First fighter, only fighter on the Wheaties box. Yeah, and then it's blessing, man. Like to see myself on a Wheaties box. I never thought that. You know, it was like one of
It
those
was a nice
moments.
campaign.
One of those moments where I was like, man, like I've done something. You know,
I've made it.
I made it.
How
Yeah.
did you get on the Wheatie box though?
Oh man, it was. All right, so I just won the belt. I was in Dana White's office. We're renegotiating my contract to figure out my next fight, and he gets a phone call. And John Jones, it was John Jones at the time. He's a champ. I was a champ. I forget who else was a champ, but John was the man at that time. He was like up and coming. But I got in trouble. I forget what he got in trouble for. One of the things he got in trouble for. And Dana like hangs the phone up like, fuck, I can't never do nothing with this guy. He's like, do you want to be in a Wheaties box? I'm like, hell yeah, I want to be in a Wheaties box.
Right place, right time.
Yeah, right place, right time, man.
Look at
I did the
So
Showtime kick. I just did the
literally-
Showtime kick. I won the belt, so I feel like it was,
You're in the office. It goes down like this. Ring, ring.
He steps out the office and he's yelling, and I'm
serious?
like, no idea what's going on.
Comes back in and he's like, hey, you want to be on a Wheaties
He
box?
tells his assistant, he's like, man, I can't ever get nothing done with this fucking guy. And I didn't know who he was talking about at the time, but eventually it came through, and he's like, all right, we got this Wheaties box because it was a competition. It was called Next, N-E-X-T, and it was like a skateboarder, a snowboarder, a surfer, a MMA guy, and I want to say like a cross motorsports guy.
Cross-dresser.
Not yet.
Cross-dresser, not yet.
That wasn't
This
yet.
is before that. It was even cool. This is like a couple years ago, but it was the motocross guy. So everybody had a vote to see who wanted to be on to get to whoever the most votes would be on the Wheaties box. But Dana White runs that machine, bro. So he had like the way to vote, you had to do a workout. And you would do a workout and it would count as a vote to like who you wanted to be on the Wheaties box. And Dana put that thing together, bro. He has that machine where like there's no way we're losing that thing. So that's how it came down, man.
And you and Dana still cool today?
Oh, he's my boy, bro. Like when I won that belt, like the lightweight belt, I mean, I've made good money, but they gave me a bonus that allowed me to buy my mama a house, man. And like I remember,
that's awesome.
I won that. I defended the belt in November-ish, and my mom it was Christmas. And I made it happen quick. I found a house, bought it, remodeled it, like bought her a car, like. So she walked in. I put it on my Instagram and shit too. Like she walked in, she saw a car, saw a house, and the first thing she was like, "When are you gonna get a real job?" She always tells me that. When are you gonna get a real job? Crazy.
But this dude makes money. Like he bought his wife that freaking. You just get her like this car or Jeep or something like that.
G-Wagon, yeah.
Like it ain't cheap.
That's what's up.
You gotta have Showtime money.
She's my
for
wife.
That.
She's my wife.
Yeah.
So you know,
Take care of your family.
And then you
That's
make her pick you up everywhere, so it's cool.
Nah, she takes care
That's
of the
your
baby,
Uber.
man. I was like, I got my little daughter in there. I gotta protect her.
Before we wrap this up, when this comes out, there'll probably already be an announcement about what we're doing together.
Yeah.
So you want to talk just
Oh man, yeah.
real
for sure.
quickly? This is really exciting news that
So,
involves all of us except for the comedian. No, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding.
So APFC, the promotion I've been running. I mean, it's my second year doing it. Growing great, doing well, but you know, me and Criss had a conversation about like making it take it to the next level. And Criss is coming on as a business partner for APFC, which is huge for me, man. Like a big milestone for me. Like this is my baby right here, man. And to see like, I know how he gets behind his businesses. Like a guy like that works the way he does, that has the stuff he does. It's like you got to be inspired by that. So the short time we spent together, I already knew, man. Like this deal would happen. We also have our management company we're doing together, Showtime Group. We got about 82 guys on the lower level of MMA. In 2 years, we'll all be at the top. So I think you know, this partnership is definitely something huge for everybody in mixed martial arts, man. I think we're going to shake up the world.
Yeah, and then we got the WCE, which is a brand new concept, which you guys know about. But basically, we're going to take the theatrical spectacle of these over-the-top characters in this incredible venue, which is my theater, with real fighting. And we're going to do something that shakes up the MMA world. It's going to be widely
tuned.
entertaining.
Yeah, make sure you guys are there. The first show we put on in his theater, it's going to be
first quarter of 2024. We're going to do it.
I mean, with this guy, we're taking combat sports to the next level. And jiu-jitsu, kickboxing. I mean, any combat sport athletes come
real
talk to
fights.
us. Real fights,
no bullshit.
Real show. I mean,
and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be right here in Vegas, and then if everything goes well, we're gonna bring it around the world and have people experience it. But really excited. You're a stand-up dude, man. I respect you, love you, and all of you guys. Like, I'm so grateful that we had this opportunity to do this today, and yeah, keep it right here. Thanks again to Shure Microphones for basically sponsoring us with these incredible microphones. You know, they do my show, Mind Freak, over at Planet Hollywood as well. And just a great company, and they're the best microphones in the business. I mean, just listen to it. But so thanks for joining us. We don't do this show because we have to. We do this show because we want to. And keep watching every single episode of Talking Junkies. We'll be back.
This is Criss Angel's Talking Junkies.